I'd never seen an audience. It's like, this is like hot girls. Like just all there to see G Love. I was like, this could be really something.
Welcome to episode 71 of the Bass Shed Podcast. My name is Ryan Roberts. Trickfish Amplifiers, trickfishamps.com. Stop by their website, check out their line of cabinets, bass heads, and preamps and accessories. I remember talking to the guys at Trickfish, and we were both geeking out about how we love like little bags and cases for everything. You know, and I just started, I think, playing the Minnow, the single channel preamp. I'm like, dude, I need a case for this. Like, can we just make a little case for this? He's like, oh yeah, I think that needs to happen. I love the guys over at Trickfish. Stop by trickfishamps.com. Use the promo code TheBassShed for 10% off. Double bassists, stop by lemurmusic.com for everything you need for the double bass. Not only everything you need, probably a bunch of stuff you want also. Everything you want and need for the double bass can be found at lemurmusic.com. Stop by, check it out. Their collection of bows, basses, bass accessories, preamps, and more. lemurmusic.com. Tsunami cables come with a lifetime guarantee, and they look really, really cool. Then that's, come on, that's the thing. We're all vain. TsunamiCables.com. Use the promo code TheBassShed for 10% off. Stop by the website. Also, check out the V15 preamp. You can listen to my chat with the owner of Tsunami Cables, Keith Sticks, on episode 51 of the Bass Shed podcast. Stop by Tsunami Cables. Use the promo code TheBassShed and save some money. So this is a special episode of the Bass Shed podcast. This was recorded at Lemur Music in the showroom down there, one of the showrooms at Lemur Music. We did a video podcast that will be up shortly on YouTube, and it will also be up at lemurmusic.com. You will be able to check that out there. I will be sending out the links as it gets live on their site, so you can go check it out. It's also a series that Lemur and I will be kind of uniting on. I did another episode earlier this week. I recorded another episode earlier this week with Jason Brown, the head luthier over at Lemur Music. And then there's some other things in the works, so stay tuned for that about, what's happening from the Live at Lemur series. But the first one was Jimi Jazz Prescott from G Love and the Special Sauce, and it was exciting to connect with him. I have known of G Love and the Special Sauce, the group, since it's been a long time. I think probably around when I was 17 or 18. That puts it at 1998, 1999, somewhere in there. This music store I was teaching at, one of the dudes that was all into G Love and was always kind of ragging on me for not listening to G Love and the Special Sauce and listening to Michael Brecker and Patitucci and the records I was into at the time. So this is kind of it's come a little bit full circle at this point now, connecting with Jimi Jazz Prescott of G Love and the Special Sauce. I had a great time chatting with him. We're going to talk about his time with G Love. We're going to talk about, we're going to nerd out on bass strings, because that's what upright players do. You just nerd out on bass strings. So we do a little bit of that. He's going to talk about some early influences. It was a good hang. It was just a great hang down at Lemur. And as I mentioned, I'll be releasing more information about where you can check out the video of this podcast and where more from the Live at Lemur series will be. I don't know if it's live at Lemur, right? This was recorded 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. So it's not really live, Technically anything's live. By the time you hear this, it's recorded. But right now I'm talking live. So who knows? Everything's live at some point. All right, that's what I got. Here's my talk. Here's my talk with Jimi Jazz Prescott of G Love and the Special Sauce.
We did a TV show once, and it's really hard for me not to look at the camera. That's the hardest part.
Was that in the States?
Yeah, it was. we were like the house band. It was, you remember Ben Stein?
Yeah.
You know, he had a show, Win Ben Stein's Money, which was pretty popular.
Right.
And then he tried to have a talk show.
Okay.
Like just sit down interview style talk show.
Yeah.
And we were the house band.
Okay.
It was great, man.
How long did that last?
Well, 2 weeks. But that was like the whole season. The whole season was taped in
in 2 weeks.
We
Okay.
like a couple of shows a day.
Yeah.
In the like...
What was that, like an 8-10 hour production day?
No. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe.
They're like hour episodes, so you figure...
Yeah, they were half-hour episodes. Okay. Yeah, no, it was like an easy afternoon of work.
That's dope.
It was hilarious, man.
Was that shot out on the West Coast?
Yep. It was like right at one of the studios there.
Yeah, that seems like an LA thing for sure.
Yeah, totally.
I don't remember. Like, I remember hearing about the show, and I remember the Win Ben Stein's Money thing. That I feel like that hit right around the time Who Wants to Be a Millionaire kind of.
Yeah.
Hit the radar.
Yeah.
But I didn't tune in.
No, it was like, Comedy Central thing. It played for, in the middle of the night for one season, and then no one ever had a funny name. Maybe it was just the Ben Stein show. That's just it.
Yeah. He'll always be the homeroom teacher from the Wonder Years to me. Like that's
Bueller.
Yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah. I just remember he was the annoying, like monotone teacher in the Wonder Years. Like they'd show films and he would just talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
He'd always do that.
That's how I remember. Yeah. Cool, man. So tell me about your game last night. Where were you playing last night? You were down in San Diego.
Yeah, we were down at the Coach House that night. The Belly Up.
Okay.
In Solana Beach.
Solana Beach?
Solana.
I
was going to call it Solano, but it's Solana.
There might be a Solano. I feel like that's up by Santa Barbara. Is there a Solano?
Probably. Yeah.
All right.
So.
Okay.
Yeah, but the Belly Up, it's a great, great club, man.
Nice.
I don't know if it was sold out, but it was packed in there. And yeah, we rocked it. It was really nice.
All right. How long has this tour been going?
This is second half. It's basically 9 weeks. We can break in the middle, but
yeah,
this is.
So is this the beginning of the second leg then?
This is the end of the second.
Oh, the second leg. Okay, so you're ready to go home. You're ready to just
yeah.
And you're like, all right,
too much tour talk.
I want to go home to my house. Yeah.
Yeah, it's starting to feel weirdly tired.
Yeah.
Last night in the bunk.
Everything been cool with like the reopening up? Have you noticed? Is there weird protocols in different cities? I mean, I know LA is pretty loose about it.
Yeah, everything really loosened up actually the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
But yeah, there weren't that many places that were getting uptight about it.
Yeah.
We work a lot in Florida.
Oh, well then. Yeah, nobody cares.
Wild down there, man.
I don't even know if they observed it at all.
Yeah, it's like, oh well.
Yeah, whatever. Who cares? Yeah.
And at the beginning of the tour, we would all like wear masks or whatever, and like the crews would wear masks at the beginning of the night. But then, by the showtime, we'd never wear masks for shows, and then everyone's drunk at the end of the night. There's no caution to the wind, which I've noted throughout the whole thing, man. That when it first happened, I was having jam sessions in my backyard, and we typically play some tunes, drink a few beers, and then after the beer, it's like, you want to do the high five, and it's like, oh no,
we have
to stay apart.
Is that something you did regularly during lockdown? Because you live up in Portland.
I live up in Portland.
Okay.
Yeah, and when the weather was nice,
right? There's that. Yeah.
Not regular, but that summer, we had a few sessions.
Okay.
In the backyard.
Nice.
My jazz guys.
Okay. What were you playing? Like straight ahead?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, straight ahead. I got a record out, Jim Prescott Trio.
Okay.
That is Yeah, it's basically straight ahead. It's some original compositions, but like written based on like Tap Dameron.
Nice.
Various.
Nice. Who are your influences as a straight ahead player? I mean, there's always the core that everybody, chooses from.
I've always loved Paul Chambers and like that Miles.
Sure.
Ron's great, incredible, but Paul Chambers just really speaks to me.
Sure.
And like was something when I picked up the upright, I was like, that's how this, because I was trying to do that kind of thing on like fretless electric.
Right. And
then I picked up, I was like, this is
right. Especially that sound. Are you playing guts?
I wasn't in those days, but I got guts on.
Yeah.
Guts on now.
I've never had guts on my bass. From everything I've read, they take a lot of upkeep, right? Like they check them on that maintenance string. Don't you have to like put oil on them, or they fray, or some kind of thing?
No, I mean I don't. Maybe I should. I don't put oil on.
I feel like we're at the place. Someone should know.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to ask around. Yeah,
but I have two basses at home. Actually, I have this old German flatback, and on that one I have olive strings, which are gut wrapped in metal.
Okay,
kind of the best of both worlds.
Right.
They're really beautiful. My teacher got me hooked on them, and then and then he gave me a couple, and then they wore out, and I was like, I'll buy some new ones. I was like, oh,
yeah,
jeez.
Yeah.
It's not Spiral Core braces.
No, not at all. So there was.
On my other bass, I have like raw gut strings that I got from a friend of mine.
Okay.
A bass player in Portland, and he gets them from India.
Really?
And do
they have the hookup on? Is that like
something?
Yeah. Oh, is there some like bass string black market that I don't know about? Really?
Yeah.
I want
it's like, well, you gotta come to Portland.
Is that the channel? Like the bass string black market funnels to Portland?
I don't know.
Well,
now I'm saying, maybe it is black market. It's like animal products from India. But they're kind of weird, and they kind of exude fat when you tighten them up. They get like greasy, which is, I imagine, the animal fats and oils coming down. Okay. So that's why I just like wipe them down for a while, and then once they're, once we're in there, they're fun to play.
Which ones do you play with G-Love? Do you play the wrapped ones? Or
G-Love, I play straight Spiral Core because I have a magnetic pickup on the.
Okay.
So that's that's a whole different thing, really. Yeah. That's really more of a electrified upright thing with G-Love.
So we were talking upstairs. How you're a founding member of G-Love in the Special Sauce. You guys all met in the Boston area.
Yeah, we did.
So tell the story about how you guys met each other or started playing music together.
Yeah, I had just switched to upright at that point. I actually had gotten laid off of a job and got a severance check, and I was like, going to the store, bought upright. And I was hanging at a jam session that was actually run by our drummer. Okay. So he would it was like the Monday night. Yeah. Straight ahead session. Go down there and see what I could do. And he apparently met G-Love at the same club where his jam session was, because he went out there, he was dating the bartender. And G-Love
so he's drinking for free. Is really what it is.
Yeah. He's sitting at the bar with his free beer, and saw G-Love play, and they started talking because there were only two people in the place. Right. And G's like, I'm trying to get a band together. And Jeffrey was like, well, I'll help you find guys, but I don't want to do it. That's been his attitude, the whole time. Yeah. So, but I guess they were going to try out a tuba. They wanted to do something really different. They tried out tuba. They basically went through every other dude at the session.
Yeah. Okay.
Including a really great player named John Turner, who was kind of a mentor at that time.
Nice.
And, he was really heavy.
Okay.
Studied with Ornette. And shit.
Oh, wow.
So he turned down the gig.
Yeah.
And then
because it wasn't jazzy enough?
Yeah, he was like having a different kind of career, I think.
Okay. What's he up to now?
He plays with Room Full of Blues.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm sure he did some
things.
Some interesting freaky jazz over the years, but no,
if you're going to study with Ornette, you're kind of on this trajectory to get your hands dirty with some weird jazz at some point.
Pretty bored with some of the stuff we had to do. But we all kind of met up through that jam session, and we did one rehearsal. Jeffrey was like playing brushes on a cardboard box.
Okay.
And we went over G's tunes, and then we did this gig at the same club, Tam O'Shanter, Brookline Ave.
Okay.
And I walked up there, and I had played in bands. I'd played in bands my whole time I was in Boston, 10 years, and I'd never seen an audience. This is like hot girls, like just all there to see G Love. I was like, this could be really something. This is definitely just like funky and fun. I was like, look at these chicks, man. And every show we played, like at that show, someone would book us the next show.
Okay,
and it kind of
just kept escalating,
and it built up and fast, man. 9 months later, we were, G signed a record deal.
Okay.
We had basically half of the first record was already recorded.
So how long from like the first gig till you guys went into the studio?
Well,
to record the first batch
maybe a couple of months. We were, playing around. We would play out in the street, play parties and stuff. And G Love had sent a cassette into the Philadelphia Music Conference.
Yeah.
And that guy called us up and was like, come down to the music conference. And that had to be, that was sometime in that summer of 93.
Okay.
We went down there and we played the music conference, and before, I guess it was just like, you play these shows back to back. Before us or after us, maybe after us was the Square Roots, where they had just dropped the Square and they were the Roots.
Okay.
And that was a heavy show. Yeah. But after the show, the guy who invited us down to the conference, Dave Johnson, our first producer, he was like, okay, all right, kids, be in the studio on Monday. Here's the address.
Wow.
I'm going to call my boss.
Yeah.
I'm going to be away for another couple days.
What was the gig at the time? Who was the boss? Like, what was the job?
I worked for was that Cambridge Signal Technologies.
Okay.
They made a digital equalizer for recording studios.
All right.
It was a pretty interesting product. It was like a correction system. So you put a microphone at the listening position.
Yeah.
Sent test signals to the monitors and like built an inverse filter of the room.
Huh.
It's really cool.
So that's the EQ rooms?
Yep.
Okay.
It's a room EQ.
Interesting.
And it didn't really catch on. It was a little ahead of its time.
Sure.
But it was a cool job. I was basically the manufacturing engineer. I just was like building them.
So you're building?
Yeah. Send the kits out and the boards come back and I test them and be like,
So coming from that background, do you have a home studio?
I do.
Okay. You guys are pretty dialed in. Have you used one of these on the room? To EQ your own studio?
The product, they stopped making them. They made them for a few years, but it was like ahead of its time because it was like a rack mount box, like packed with technology, including these chips to implement the filter. which now you can do in software.
Sure.
Super easy, but like it was like very expensive. It was like, $5,000.
Oh wow.
For something that like made it sound a little better.
Right. But what happened to the company? Did they have a patent on the technology or the chip? Could they sell that then to a software company? Do you know much about what happened there?
They tried to pivot into converters, and they were doing converters and headphone amps. They pivoted into that product into the like high-end home market.
Okay.
Called the tweak market.
Yeah.
Some kooky ideas out there. But, that did okay. But, yeah, I should call those engineers. It was cool technology. But there's a couple of other, at the time I remember there was a system that was for live venues. And it's based on the name of it. But that kind of took over in terms of room correction.
Okay.
Because this was a very specific product. It worked perfectly in one position.
Right.
And like most people don't really sit in one position and listen.
Exactly. Exactly. So, I mean, it seems like that product would be great for an engineer who's sitting here at the desk.
Yeah.
And to where
that's what it's made for.
Where your monitors are going to be in relation to the listening experience.
Yeah. And if you have a big flat desk like that, to the angle, and you have the big, remember the 801s or something that were up in the wall.
Right.
First thing happens is a direct signal to your ear, and the next signal is bouncing off the console.
Right.
So. In engineering school, that makes comb filtering. We have that delayed signal.
Sure.
So, like when you take that out with the digital filter, it's amazing. It's like, you don't realize that this is like comb filtering happening.
Yeah.
And then, when you improve that frequency response and balance it between the speakers, then your imaging like totally opens up. It's pretty cool.
How has all this information in this background affected your playing setup? Like how you set up your amp, how far you are from your amp, like do you raise it, do you keep it on the ground, all your knowledge about acoustics?
Yeah. Well, a couple of ways. Back in the day, before I got a coil pickup, I just used to use a bridge pickup. Fishman deal. Okay. And I used to play through a redhead, and I would put it as close to my ear as I could.
Okay.
And that eventually became
putting it on top of 210 combo. We're talking about the combo.
And then that eventually became, because they're everywhere, I would just put it on top of a SVT.
Oh, yeah.
8x10.
Sure.
We actually had a V9 for a while. We bought it at a thrift store.
What's it now?
It's like it's really a guitar cabinet, but it has 9 drivers.
Oh, wow.
It's like 3 ported cabinet or speaker cabinets, like the SVT kind of, but it's a little wider. Man, it was cool. Apparently that's what Keith Richards' favorite.
That
thing to play through the V9.
All right. So your thing was, because there's information in the bass world about like raising the speaker, keeping it on the ground, the connection to the ground. And then if you do, the wave's going to hit the ground. Yeah, I mean that's all null and void when you got the subs under the stage. My thing was put the speaker next to my ear so I could hear it and not have to have it be like louder. Does that eliminate some feedback issues then if it's raised also? Theoretically, but I mean those waves are so big that you never know what's going to happen with the bouncing. Yeah, I was at a studio maybe last month or something, and like the engineer had the studio totally dialed in mathematically, and he was telling me about the distance of waves and then where he put his bass traps and all this. He told me 16 feet for bass waves. Yeah, well, 100 hertz is 10 feet. That's 100 hertz is 10 feet. Okay. Around that. Okay. So, and as you go lower, they get bigger. Right, and that's right around the frequency of an E string. Do I understand that correct?
Yeah. He's 97, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, low E.
All right. That's all interesting to me. Like, I don't know how it would really, you don't always have 10 feet to stand away from your cab on a gig.
Right.
But it's fascinating stuff.
It's interesting, when at one point I after we were touring around, I said, "Gee, you got to get a sound man."
Yeah.
Yeah, we wanted to tour with a sound man, and it was just like some of those gigs were just brutal.
What was the reasoning for not wanting? They was
not wanting a sound man. Yeah,
you just didn't.
You just wanted to keep it lean and mean.
Yeah. Okay. I get it. Sure.
And he's not. Yeah, he's not really an audiophile.
Okay.
He's not super tuned into that aspect of it.
Yeah.
Whereas I probably sing about it. Our old drummer, I drove him crazy because I didn't want the overtones in the toms and stuff.
Okay.
And like his kick drum, he'd, play these big old calfskin head kick drums, and sometimes you put a mic in front of it, and like some club has like tremendous resonance, and all of a sudden it's just like.
Was this the founding guy, the jazz guy?
Yeah.
What's his name?
Jeffrey Clemens.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. He's still in the band?
He's not with our current touring posse. He's retired.
Okay.
He is off the road. Couldn't deal with the bus anymore.
That's fair.
Yeah, I understand it.
Yeah.
Really?
But that brings up a great point. Like, how have you adapted to that? And how have you dealt with the bus for so many years?
Well, it's like, I kind of built my life around it. So I don't mind sleeping in a little cubby hole.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's number one.
Yeah.
And it's a different way to live, but I feel like I'm good at it. I know how to
it doesn't
arrange all my shit. I've just been doing it for so long.
Right. And it's not at this point, after doing it for so long, you're not burnt out on it?
Yeah. No, it's cool. I mean, I can be burnt out. We just did 5 weeks and then 4 weeks. 5 weeks is just 1 week too long.
Is that the tipping point?
That's the tipping point. You can just tell everybody's mood goes in the ground. So, there's those things. That's kind of what you learn after a while.
Sure. Is being out for 4 weeks pretty regularly with you?
Well, we do.
These,
ideally, but not so much recently.
Sure.
But we usually do pretty consistently a winter tour, which is 8 or 9 weeks.
Okay.
And it's cool. I dig it, and I'd like to be out on a shed tour in the summertime. That's the best. We toured with Jack Johnson a couple of times, and it's so great. Just roll into these, the shed or whatever.
Yeah.
And they got catering and shit. And play 45 minutes and then just
different vibe. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what happens during the summer months with G-Love then? Do you guys do festivals? Or
we'll do a few one-offs here and there. I mean, back in the day, we did try and get on a package tour for July, August. 2018, we've been out with Blues Traveler.
Okay.
2019.
Still around?
Yeah.
Some of these acts, I hear about it, I'm like, really? They're still okay.
It's people say about us.
It's just like these bands that from back then that I remember as being such a sound of the times.
Yeah.
That I don't think about regularly unless it comes on one of these old records. I'm like, oh yeah, I dig this.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't think about them, coming through the city at all or check them out.
It's kind of cool because that genre, if you want to call it that, kind of like the jam scene, kind of like those fans are still coming out.
Yeah.
It's like they're all.
It seems like a very devout fan base.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And pretty cool, you know. They've developed. We the other we were out opening for Hall & Oates.
Really?
That was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun.
I don't.
Their fans. They
I love
don't really
Hall &
care about us, though.
No, they didn't land.
You know, we usually got them, but it's like weirdly like a 45-minute set, but it's like a lot of work because people are coming in, looking at you like, what's this?
Right. This doesn't sound like Sarah Smile.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's cool, you know. That's how I'd like to be spending the summer. But G's going out solo.
Okay.
With Dispatch and OAR.
Okay.
Yeah.
What?
They're still out there?
I didn't want to say it again.
So, yeah.
When he goes out solo, what keeps you busy creatively in the meantime?
You know, I creatively, I'm just always at the piano when I'm at home and, you know, working on the jazz, you know, and sort of getting into composing, writing.
More in the jazz genre?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, I love that shit.
Yeah. I mean, me too.
Really, yeah. I mean, I need to work out some kind of hustle and pace. I mean, I never have a problem like creating shit, but selling it is another story.
And monetizing the time is a different vibe. Yeah. So are you picking up gigs in Portland? Are you plugged into the local scene?
Yeah, a little bit, you know. Being on the road so much, when I first moved up to Portland, I was on the road a lot. So it took me a while to engage the scene. Yeah, but I ran a jam session for a while. That was nice, like a Tuesday night. Okay. Jam, you know.
Was that a jam band thing or like a straight ahead jam?
Straight ahead jazz session.
Calling standards. Yeah.
Real book and shit.
Yeah, you're listening to every tenor player play rhythm changes for 45 minutes.
There it is. Playing along with it. Let's get your chops.
That's it.
You know, as of late, I haven't really been doing much of that scene, you know. The whole venue situation in Portland kind of...
Did a lot of them not make it after the pandemic? Yeah,
and even before the pandemic, it kind of was like a reshuffling. And, you know, we lost a couple of... there's a famous place, Jimmy Max.
Okay.
I mean, we've been close 10 years now, but it's like it kind of put a damper on the scene. There's other places that have filled the void now, but I just didn't really engage with that transition.
Sure.
I played with a singer-songwriter group we call AMP.
Okay.
It's with a guy by the name of Kellen Eisbrook. He's from the band Fruition. Okay. And another fellow, Sean McLean, and he plays with a band called World's Finest up there. And so I just got together with those guys during the COVID. Yeah. And we would do songs from their band and some G-Love tunes.
Cool.
And that was cool.
You did some records with them, or is it just
it's kind of developed into, we're about to do some recording now. Okay. We had a drummer, a good friend of mine, James West, on drums. He's really he's a great player. I'm looking for a project to
nice to get him into.
Yeah. So it's been really fun. You know, we're kind of developing some new material. Okay,
what's kind of the singer-songwriter, but from what perspective? Like a 60s Dylan thing? Or more of a progressive, I don't want to say progressive, maybe more of a modern approach?
You know, it's, we're trying to modernize it. You know, it's definitely, like Beatlesy. Okay. In terms of the songwriting. You know, I'm playing the acoustic bass and the drummer plays like a real open thing. So it's like kind of like a jazzy side to that.
That's cool.
And, we're mostly acoustic. Okay. For now, but all of us have aspirations on keyboard, so I want to do a band by playing the keyboards.
Nice.
It's interesting.
Was that your first instrument, playing keys?
No. I started out on guitar.
Yeah.
You know, it was was a classic, like in the basement, like 3 guitar players shredding away, like no chords at all. And then one kid was like, "Hey, I got a bass. Why don't you play the bass?"
Yeah.
Okay. Bass. I was like, "Yeah, Jack Bruce now."
Yeah, I think it's always one or two things, right? It's always like the guitar player transition to the bass, or I also know a fair amount of people that trumpet was their first instrument, and then they end up as bass players.
Huh.
Yeah, that was my experience. Trumpet was mine, and there's a couple other friends of mine with trumpet.
Really? You started on trumpet?
In like 5th grade.
Wow, okay, yeah.
Whatever elementary school band. If you want to consider that a start, like, I don't know, I did it.
Yeah, no, I think it's.
I wasn't hustling gigs or anything.
I'm sometimes jealous of like band kids. You you have like a foundation and.
Maybe, yeah, I don't know. I never thought about it.
Did you carry that through to your bass playing, or?
The academic nature of it?
Yeah. Like, did you switch from like trumpet to bass?
It wasn't a direct switch. So I was playing trumpet like 5th grade. I didn't pick up electric bass until 15, 16.
Okay.
But then that took off pretty quick. Like, I was teaching at the local music store at 17.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then like doing gigs. My mom wouldn't let me do gigs until I was out of high school. But like senior year, at the end of senior year of high school, I started doing some, cover bands at bars and stuff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I don't know. That wasn't really academic, because then I had to learn the working world of things, which is completely different. They just give you, back then they would give you mixtapes, like here's a CD. Learn these 42 rehearsals on Thursday. And that was foreign to me. That was something I had to get together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the academic thing did translate, but it's the other side of things is what I had to do to kind of survive. And I was young, like, oh, this is what the guys do. I got to do this.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I've tried to use my good fortune on that side to like continue like a slow study of music.
Did you have formal training on the bass?
A little bit. I studied a little bit with a guy named Bruce Gertz in Boston.
Okay.
He was, at the time, he was the head of the bass department at Berkeley.
Yeah, that name sounds familiar, but I don't know a lot about it.
Yeah, he was really great. He was a really great teacher. He could do all different airs.
Is this electric or upright?
Upright.
Okay.
Well, actually, I started with him on the fretless, and then I took a few lessons with him on the upright.
So did you go from guitar right to fretless? Or was there a fretted bass in there?
There was a couple of fretted basses.
Yeah, like some kind of pawn shop P bass in the middle?
Yeah. Playing power chords on it with a pig sliding across the club in my knees. Those things are awesome. At some point, I was like, maybe I just want to play jazz.
Yeah.
I kind of, I was hang out with kids from Berkeley and all, and, I just heard Miles and got the bug.
Yeah. What era was this? Was this like late 80s, early 90s?
Yep.
Okay. Yep. I know people that have gone to Berkeley in the 80s and then some that went to 90s and after. And I feel from what I heard that there was like a shift in kind of the culture of the school there between like the late 80s probably to the mid 90s. Something kind of happened within that school.
Yeah. I don't really know. I just know there was like a lot of different scenes and things happening. I remember like the guitar player thing, in the early 90s, late 80s was like, there was so many metal guitar shredders and they all thought they were better than the other one, and it was kind of insane. Yeah. My good friend Dave Watts from the band Motet. Okay. Have you heard of them? They're pretty cool. But he was at BU with me, and he was like classical percussion. Oh, wow. At BU, and he was like, I'm going to Berkeley, play the drum kit. Because I actually recruited him from a band in college. And he was the first drummer that I played with. Okay. Like, oh, this is cool. Okay. And but so he was at Berkeley the whole time I was in school, and we would go over there and like hang out in the practice room and jam out in the practice.
Just work it out, yeah.
And I definitely got a lot of information by osmosis.
Nice. So is this also when a lot of your like formative jazz training interest, people learning from peers?
Totally. Like that's when I was like, I was playing in rock bands around, but I was like listening, and it's like more and more. I was like, wow, what's going on over here? Like, Miles, and it's like what happened in jazz in the late '60s, and it's like, oh yeah.
But now being a big Paul Chambers fan, and then hearing all the stuff that's happening in the '60s with LaFaro and Ron, and I mean, there's so many dudes in the '60s, and the bass went through a transitionary period there in the '60s in jazz. Were you still like, yeah, that's cool, but I'm still into like the old PC stuff, or like the mid '50s to late '50s?
Yeah, I kind of was intimidated by I had like studied a little bit Ron Carter, maybe a little couple of the solos I learned or something, and then for Paul Chambers.
Okay,
and then. Yeah, still working on transitioning to Ron. It's like, the simplicity and like the real straight ahead walk and stuff, that just really resonates. Resonates with me. It was like second nature for some reason. Yeah. And
it's a little bit more, I mean, what he was doing, Paul Chambers, as you know, solo-wise, was very kind of advanced for the times, like a lot of horn player like lines and all that stuff. Baseline wise, it wasn't as academic as Ron Carter, with what he's doing and like all these reharms and all this stuff that Ron did. It's like more of a focus on just the fundamentals and just being like this solid bass player with a huge sound.
Yeah,
unrelenting time.
Like I feel like this kind of like the groove was more on the bass in that 50s stuff. Yeah. Whereas, Ron's a lot freer.
Sure.
Just because of the music changed that way too.
Right.
The chops were like... And, kind of like the rhythmic, like the advanced rhythmic phrasing. Mm-hmm. Is
what are some of your go-to Paul Chambers records? Like he's on that ton of records.
I love
the most recording guy up until Ron Carter.
Right. I love the Miles cooking. Like that.
Yeah. Relaxing is one of my favorites.
Prestige. The Prestige run is just killer.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think those are. There's a lot of great information there, and it's just like, I mean, the story behind it. They recorded them all in like a week or something, like 2 days or something. Yeah. Just knocking them all out. So you have to imagine somewhere in there, depending on what take happened during where in the 2 days, there's just like studio fatigue involved, and they don't care a little bit anymore.
Yeah, I think they were doing their live show. It's like that's what they were doing. At night in the clubs too. So it's kind of got a little bit of a rehearsal vibe.
Sure. Right.
It's cool. It's really, really interesting document.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of the Jazz Messengers.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess Doug Watkins. I've worked on a couple of his lines, not really solos, but all that like music at that time really resonates with me.
Okay.
Like into the hard bop.
Yeah.
Scene.
Okay. What specifically, can you define like what specific characteristic of that music it is that you're attracted to more than something that's a little bit more exploratory?
Yeah, it's the groove. It's like simplicity, like hard bop. It's kind of like more of a simple, like catchy melodies happening, in the heads, and great, like not linear, but like song progressions.
Sure.
And
you mean harmonic progressions?
Yeah, and like forms.
Yeah.
And like the modified 32 bar, or kind of like, I love like the Wayne Shorter tunes that are like modified.
Yeah. I mean, everything about Wayne's writing is like, brilliant.
These sections that are like, it's all in A form. I just love that. It's like, kind of like the mathematical structure of the form.
Sure.
I find really cool.
Cool.
And then, you were saying like, definitely like huge fan of, the Bill Evans trio with Scott LaFaro, and his writing is really interesting.
LaFaro's writing?
Yeah, like we always play out Glorious stuff.
Oh, sure.
It's like really cool, like odd phrased form that sounds normal, and I dig that. But then like I feel like when the next decade, certain aspects of the music got like, way more complicated, and the forms are like more abstract.
Right.
And
so this is interesting. Now you're probably one of the few people I've talked to that's really this specific about the form of the material.
Yeah, like
that kind of ignites some of your engineer brain and the constructs and framework and how things are working together.
Yeah, I think so. It's definitely like part of my mathematical position, and also as a bass player, like in that straight ahead scene, you're doing that. That's the job.
Yeah,
like to hold that form together.
Sure.
And so I gotta like understand the form to deal with the song. And a lot of times people try and teach you a song in like one bit at a time.
Right.
And I'm like, nah.
You want to know the whole.
I want to start at the outside, like what's the whole form, and then break it down.
Okay.
And like that's just the way my brain.
So if we rewind to the idea, go back to the idea of a work tape. You get a CD or something with 20 tapes on, and you're going to learn a song. Is that your process to learning material? Also, you're going to listen through once and kind of like, all right, there's a verse, chorus, and kind of segment it in your mind like A B. All right, there's a bridge, C A B A, and then you go back and learn changes. So you map out the form mentally.
I think when I map it out, I would like, the changes are the vehicle of the form.
Sure.
So I would like write out the changes.
Okay.
Probably sequentially.
Yeah.
And then like in knowing the song, I'd have to like know the whole structure of it.
Okay. So you are still going to go work through it with learning material section by section.
Yeah.
But then really check in on the overview of it.
Yeah.
To lock it in.
And I definitely, like, if someone, gives me a tape of stuff to learn.
Yeah.
I'll listen to it without analyzing it.
Sure.
Maybe a couple times.
Okay.
Just to see what the vibe of it is.
Yeah.
And try to take in as much information subconsciously as I.
Okay, so you're not really even on these initial listen throughs. You're not like even imagining bass parts. In my mind, you're listening to scratch tracks.
Oh yeah.
So now you're listening to scratch tracks in this scenario of tunes, and you're not imagining bass parts or grooves, or you're just kind of getting a vibe of the lyrics.
Yeah, I don't know if I would listen to 20 scratch tracks down like that.
Right. No, I don't think I could. Like whatever.
Produced,
Yeah.
Whatever, like, for this project, the amp project, all of us have, records out. So
sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's a case where you're like, oh, that's a cool bass line. I'll do something different there.
Okay.
This kind of.
How much are the artists cool with you deviating from what's on the record? Do you have some freedom?
Somewhere?
Yeah, exactly.
I tend to work with people who are cool with that.
Okay, good.
Actually, when, I'm like, that's what I'm doing with G. He's got a record out that was, his record was, he just went to Nashville and this guy Kevin Lowe produced it.
Okay, Kevin Lowe, the blues artist? Okay.
Yep. And, he's friends of ours and, he produced it with just like session guys in Nashville and like really went deep into the songwriting and stuff. But I mean, it sounds kind of slick for my taste. Mm-hmm. But we were having a really good time before the COVID hit on that tour. We were kind of like using the Grammy nominated record as like demos for like what we're really going to play on.
Okay.
But that's I kind of enjoy that,
Because it was a little slicker sounding, did he get a little bit more commercial success from it? I mean,
he got a Grammy nomination.
Okay,
which I think
is that his first now?
Yep, that was his first now.
Nice. Has he ever won one? No. All right, so plug it away. I mean, that band's been what you said, 93.
We started recording in 93. Wow. First record, and tour was 94.
Man, and then so like at this much time, has there ever been like band politics or the band?
Oh no, it's just been smooth sailing the whole time. No, I've been fired 3 times. So.
Okay,
that's an indicator.
But that also means you've been rehired for, or you've been hired for, right?
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah. Well,
let's hope that side of the map.
I was glad he called me for this tour.
Yeah. But you guys go all the way back. What was it that got you fired?
Well, the first time was he was in a fight with the drummer and decided that he's going to have a whole new band. That was in '96.
Okay, so
that was actually the second time in my county, because after I first met him, he was like, I had to go on a trip for my work. That I was working at that equalizer company, and he was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I have a gig, so I'm gonna get somebody else. I'll talk to you later." And I was like, "Well, call me again." And then, it was like a month or so later, he called me up. He's like, "Can you do this gig? The other guy can't make it." I was like, "All right."
So that was time 2.
Yeah, well, that was the first time. And then in '96, he fired both me and the drummer. Like in a huff after they had been like fighting or nearly.
Is this always the same drummer? They kind of provokes
it? Jeffrey Clemens. Yeah, it kind of provokes him. Yeah, a little bit. It's it's really interesting dynamic. It's like a family dynamic.
Okay. So I'm super pissed off at you. I love you, but just get out of my face.
Totally.
Yeah. Okay.
Totally. That lasted for a year, and then in 2000. I don't know. When was Obama elected? 2008?
You sure?
Something like that. That's when he fired me because he wanted everybody to move to the East Coast. And I lived in Portland, and Jeff lives in Nashville. And he was like, well, either move to New England so we can have real rehearsals like a real band.
Okay.
Or, you're fired. I don't recall actually having the decision, but then one day he called me up and he's like, I'm going to let you go, man. I was like, oh, okay.
How do those conversations go? Is it like, hey, man, I'm just switching it up, thanks, but no thanks? Or is it more heavy? Is it heavy-handed?
It's not heavy-handed.
Okay.
He's a good dude at heart,
Yeah.
I didn't blame him. I wasn't having a good time in the band at that time, I was obviously disappointed with certain things, and I probably wasn't playing my best at all. So
since then, have those things you were unhappy with been rectified within the band or within the touring or within?
Yeah, I was off for like 5 years. I call that my sabbatical.
Okay.
And it's funny. And then me and G met up at a wedding, our sound man's wedding.
All right.
And he was like, You can come back anytime you want. I was like, yeah, I don't know. Still at that point. Yeah. And then like a year later, he called me up. He's like, just come in for this recording session, you know, because the label doesn't like what I've done. That's always the case. That's how I got called back. Okay. The second time I got fired too. Who's
the label?
Well, at the first time it was Sony Music Epic. It was hilarious. We had like an A&R guy, this guy, Michael Kaplan. He was like cigar smoking, like
quintessential business guy.
Yeah, just like the record A&R guy. Yeah. And at one point we're in the studio, you know, this beautiful like Neve console, and it's just me and him. He's probably smoking a cigar, and you know, plays one of the songs, and he turns to me without a hint of irony and goes, "The kids will dig this." I almost cracked up right there. I was like, "Yep, kids can dig it, man." That's awesome. But yeah. The next time I went back, and then he was working for Brushfire Records.
Okay. Is that a subsidiary label of another major?
That is Jack Johnson's label. Okay. That was.
They're still around? Like, he would be a guy, like, he's still doing stuff? Like, that would be another guy I would have that reaction to.
Yeah, you know, it's a really interesting story because he had, like, a tremendous amount of success, and then was like, I'm going to take a year off and not tour this summer. Yeah. And the whole business was like, what are you talking about? Yeah. You can't do that. You don't remember who you are. Right. It's like, well, I made a ton of money. He did. I like to surf. Yeah. I have a beautiful house in Hawaii where I surf. Like, fresh kids and wife. Like, why would I go out on tour with a bunch of...
Never did in Hawaii.
Yeah.
All of his music just sounds like Santa Monica to me.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever lived up in LA and on the west side of LA. All of his music just sounds like...
You know, man, he's very... it all sounds like him. He's like...
Okay. Is he just surfer bro?
Surfer bro, yeah. Okay. You know, sweet dude. Man.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I would get that from.
He was nice to have us on his label while he was putting out records. You know, these days it's a losing game. So
yeah, I don't know. I mean, what's it been like with G-Love navigating that? I mean, because since 1993 till now, like the music business is completely flipped. Yeah. How did you guys go about navigating the times? Were you around for some of that? Or were these during your sabbatical years?
We did. So I feel like we had one of the last traditional record deals. Okay. And G had a 6-record deal with Sony Epic Music. I guess they got bought by Sony at one point. But, you know, these were like old, like the first record. I remember on his third record, the budget was $300,000. Okay. And they were running behind it, and you're running over budget. And it's like, we need more money. It's like, well, we just done it. 600. It's like, wow. And so, you know, the next record did not have that kind of budget. And then, you know, we did 5 records, and then they put up the 6th record was just like.
And then does that budget cover recording and mastering and printing, or is that like artwork and duplication, and like how much of that budget is just for the actual process of producing the music versus all the other stuff that is involved with producing a record? Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, you think $300,000, like wow, you know, like that's close to $500,000. You know.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, see, on the first record that he got $200,000 on the first record, and it was almost pretty much already done. Okay. You know, so he banked.
I mean, I would imagine.
I think he took $100,000 bank on that first record and hasn't touched it. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah.
But that music is, like the way the records are structured, like we'll never see any royalties on that.
Right.
It's like, I feel like in a certain regard, like that, because that label system, kind of fell apart. Like we were kind of left in the dust, you know.
Right.
You know, his early management, they did not emphasize the kind of DIY jam band thing that was happening in the mid-90s.
Sure.
You know, I had friends in band that were like, you know, hustling all over, and you know, we couldn't even get a proper merch thing together.
Right.
So, you know, there were some challenges there that they didn't really capitalize on.
The shifting.
The shifting too. It was really kind of like a whole like jam band is taking over like the touring thing. You know, there's no acts out there nowadays that are like label acts.
Right.
You know, unless they're already giant YouTube stars or whatever. So, you know, we kind of slowly worked our way into that, and then in the 2000s, you know, we had some really great opportunities. You know, we did a co-headline tour with Slightly Stupid and played all the, you know, small amphitheaters ourselves, and you know, they catapulted to what they do now, which is like do major tours and chats, and we kind of floundered. And you know, it's like, you know, a number of different circumstances, but the one that pissed me off and ultimately got me fired was that G-Love lost his voice. And you know, it was
after a long stretch on the road, just too much strain.
And not taking care of it, cigarettes, etc.
Right.
And
that etc. will always get you. The etc. is the worst.
It is quite bad.
The etc. Not great.
And like at one point we were on tour, and something just popped, and he couldn't sing. He couldn't sing, and he didn't cancel the tour. He should have canceled the tour. And he just went on and would like sing one song and then like be really hoarse. And somehow his manager was like, to me and the drummer, it's like, you guys got to play better. I was like, what do you mean? He put the whole thing on his voice and it collapsed. So, you know, oops. Yeah. So, well, when I came back, he catches his voice much better.
Sure.
His voice is actually quite strong. He's actually like really singing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did he get into some like take some lessons or deal with the coach and work out technique issues?
No, he took on a great teacher when I came back. It was like he would do a whole lesson warm up thing for every show.
Yeah.
And he does to this day. It's
cool.
You got to do it. It's
it's
like your instrument. It's like picking up a bass without like being properly stretched out and warmed up. It's, you know, it's cool if you do it once or twice, but if you do it every night, you're gonna have to pull a muscle.
Speaking of that, what's your warm up routine before a date?
I do when I was studying. I studied later with when I moved to Portland with Lemur, who's like plays in Oregon, like avant-garde jazz group, and that was really heavy experience. And we did qigong, you know, these, you know, it's like.
So some kind of meditative.
It's like, it's meditation and movement.
Okay.
And it's really like the root. Qigong is like the root of Tai Chi and like Kung Fu. It's from the Shaolin Temple, you know, and the stuff that we did is like, you know, for if you were riding a horse and warming up to like do battle on the horse with axes and stuff. Yeah. So there's like these big arm movements and
everything's a broad motion.
Yeah, these broad motions and opening up the shoulders and stuff. It's really great for bass playing. Huh. Yeah, it was wild because
this was every lesson, or this was like something he would teach you that you just adopted into your own personal practice stuff. I guess warm up the lesson.
Yeah, no, we would warm up. For a while, you know, for a while it was like a group lesson.
Okay.
Not too many other people would show up, and it would start off with, you know, we would do like 3 different moves of this qigong.
Yeah.
That like warmed you up, get you all stretched out.
All right.
It's really cool.
And you still do that out on the road?
I do. I like try and do those movements as much as I can. And
nice. Does that kind of get you mentally and
it's
everything
like you're breathing,
yeah.
and I do headspace now, man. Like that's key to
what's that?
That's like a meditation app.
Okay.
Like do deep breathing for a minute, and
were you just concentrating on the breathing?
Yeah, it's just like straight up. I forget which kind of meditation it is, but
you do that to fall asleep.
Yeah,
that's maybe it's a similar thing where you like every exhale you kind of release tension in your body. You work through your body releasing tension.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre how your body moves when it's not holding tension. Like if you're focused on your spine and you're exhaling and releasing tension, your body starts twisting in like weird ways. You're like, what's going on now?
Yeah.
Tension
is
crazy.
It's the worst. And that's that's what'll mess you up. I also learned this technique from Glenn that was, he called it finger yoga.
Okay.
But it's playing all the harmonics over where the traditional notes are. So not all the harmonics, but so you just lay your finger on super lightly.
Okay.
And typically, you bow way down by the bridge.
So whether the place on the fingerboard gets a harmonic or not, you still touch the string as if you're trying to generate a harmonic.
Yeah, okay. And they all get harmonics. Yeah. Some are just a lot smaller than others.
Sure.
It's interesting way to look at the fingerboard.
Huh.
And it's really important now for like playing thumb position and keeping track of where you are up there.
Sure.
And just the kind of the realization is like, oh yeah, every fretted note is a harmonic.
Mm-hmm.
There's a harmonic there. Some have a lot of harmonics, like all on top of each other.
Right. I mean, there's the main. When I think about harmonics, there's the main, overtone series of each string that's open. You get the root, the fifth, and then all the way up there, you get the third, the fifth, flat seven, and nine.
Right.
Working all the way back. But to me, some of the notes don't speak unless you generate it through like a false harmonic. A type of technique.
Yeah, they can speak.
Okay.
It's challenging. Like right when you're right adjacent to a big one, say, the third harmonic, which is the fifth.
Yeah.
Note, right? Scale. When you're right next to that, it's hard to get that. Right. Harmonic because the other one wants to go off. So that's where you have to bow very specifically down. That's how you bow down here.
Okay. Interesting. Does the bow placement in relation to the bridge help generate that? Absolutely. If you're closer or further?
Absolutely.
To get the same math?
Right. You want to be generating, for example, if you're doing...
Like if you're doing C sharp on the G string.
C sharp on the G string.
Yes. So, I mean, D is going to be a major one,
Yeah, D. Well, that's... C sharp would be tricky.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to be wanting to be down there because it...
Because, I mean, that's a tritone away from the open string, too. Like, that harmonic is not really in the overtone series of the string.
It's in there, but not...
Which is not present, huh? Yeah. That's fascinating.
Yeah. It's interesting because I had tried to play harmonics like from traditional sets, like in overtone series.
Yeah,
and they're that's a different way of looking at it, but the regular note positions are all in there.
Huh.
And the harmonics are, of course, related.
Sure.
To the notes you play. So.
Right. That's fascinating.
And, it's definitely about also keeping your finger relaxed and keeping a nice open hand.
Right.
And
the whole thing from the shoulder all the way down.
Yeah. The bowing technique is, you got to be pretty good with this.
You're pretty comfortable with the bow?
Yeah, I play German. I don't perform much on it. I did a little bit, but yeah, it's fun, you know, I'll take a bug bebop solo.
Oh yeah,
Try
that's
it.
the Paul Chambers.
Yeah,
that's Paul Chambers stuff. Huh?
Yeah.
You get into all that, like Oscar Pettiford, Slam Stewart.
Not quite Slam. I mean, Slam Stewart's really shit.
Yeah.
If I wanted to get into it more, that's what I'd study.
Yeah.
That singing over it.
Man, thanks for doing this. While we're here, what's your relationship with Lemur?
Oh, wow. I've been, they send me strings.
Okay.
When I'm on the road and I make a spot record.
Okay.
They said,
they got you.
T's been a friend from way back in the day.
Sick.
They used to come out and see us at the, we were just talking about at the 4th and B.
Okay.
Down in San Diego, which is like crazy times. It was a good plug.
Nice. Well, man, I'm glad you were able to make it up here, and thanks for taking the time to do this.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate it.
Cool.
All right. That was my talk with Jimi Jazz Prescott of G Love and the Special Sauce. Kind of felt like an idiot. I kind of felt like an idiot because I don't apparently know anything about gut strings. All right. I remember talking about that and I'm just like, I thought I had read up on these things. I've never played them. He would know better than me, but I felt out of my element on that one because I don't know enough about gut strings. All right. Well, it's, there's that. That's all I got on that topic. Folks. Thanks again to Lemur for having me and the Bass Shed podcast out there to record the video of that. That'll be up. I'll be talking about it on all the social media stuff. At thebassshed.com. What do I have? I'm still plugging, still working my way through. Funk Volume 1, the bass lines of James Brown. I got about, 5 or 6 up there now. Some Bernard Odoms, Fred Thomas. One, I don't know if it's Bootsy or Fred Thomas, but I talk about that in the video. That one went live today, actually. So check that out if you're interested in funk bass lines and learning funk and James Brown bass lines, thebassshed.com. That's all I got for this one, folks. I will catch you on the next one in a minute.